Party time, Mom. Yep, it is. Welcome to another episode of the Chad Prather Show. The mothership, which is Studio 22. It is Hump Day, Wednesday. Isn't it, Chris? Isn't it Wednesday? Golly. Yeah. My whole week is off. Feel sorry for me, please.
Stop running for governor.
No.
And your week will be fine.
No, I'm not going to stop.
I don't blame you.
I'm fighting for the state.
We need you.
People come to these events. They come to these campaign events. Like I had a lady Monday night who walked up to me after the event. She goes, I have a new appreciation for you. And I said, you've been watching the show, right? She goes, yeah. She said, but tonight, like, you were serious. Because if anybody comes to one of my live events where we actually talk about this government stuff, they walk away impacted. Whether they choose to vote for me or not, I tell you, I light a fire in people about Texas. So, no, Chris, get behind me, Satan. Yeah, you. I never knew Satan was Puerto Rican. Jill Savage in the hot seat. I'm glad you're here.
I'm glad to be here. One of the things that I told you back in the makeup room probably a couple weeks ago when I was in for another show.
Yeah.
I said, I got a text message from a friend of mine, and it was, you had just gone off on like some viral video, some rant in your car, and she texted me and she's like, I really like this redneck. I don't know who he is, but I think I like him. And I was like, oh, actually, I know him, and you would really like him. He's fantastic, and it happened to be
funny.
Chad Prather.
Yeah, that Facebook took that one down. I think that video is still up on YouTube. That one got shared by a lot of people. Like Tony Robbins was even texting people, said, this guy gets it. Right? I was pretty fired up. My mother, she thinks that I get banned on Facebook for cussing. I'm like, Mom, the Antichrist doesn't care if you cuss. So
they're down with that. They're totally fine with that. They love it.
So you had that whistleblower. Of course, Monday, Facebook was down for like 8 hours. And then you had the whistleblower who was saying that they're actually exacerbating this vitriol on there that is making it more dangerous. But that's what pushes their profits.
Yeah, but then it's also come out like that she supports AOC and all that stuff too. So it's kind of like, okay, Facebook has been asking to be regulated for so long that this could just be like one of those positions where they push her out and they're like, you're going to be the one that's going to go tell the people.
Yeah, that's an interesting concept. I was on Twitter all day Monday because...
As was the rest of the world.
Yeah. I will give props to Twitter. They tweeted out, they said, hello to literally everybody. That was a great tweet, right?
That was the best.
And I had a couple of instances where I said some things to some people in response where Twitter said, are you sure you want to send this?
Did they really?
Yeah. And I went in and edited it because it was a little harsh. Well, look, I mean, people, these dudes, this one dude kept wanting to come at me saying, oh, you don't trust the science. You don't believe in the science. And you look at his profile picture and he weighed like 350 pounds. And I'm like, you are at risk, bro. Like, you need to lose weight. And, went on and on. And I was like, that's the science. You have a comorbidity. You're fat.
If they were telling us the truth, they would have said, go outside, get some vitamin D, exercise. Like, how great could it have been for a moment in America to have, like, everybody outside where it doesn't spread and doing, like, workout classes and everything and trying to get everybody healthy? Instead, we just sat there and, like, ate potato chips and, like, self-isolated and we weren't around anybody and everybody's mental health went down the drain. And it's like, oh, okay, that's what we chose instead. And by the way, nobody has a job anymore.
Nobody's got a job and it's going to be bad. And I went into, talking about mental health, while Facebook was down, I went into Best Buy. I don't really go into stores anymore, right? I just don't go into stores. And the reason I don't is I was reminded the other day, we have a generation of people who've been raised looking at screens. They don't know how to interact with other human beings. And now you add the mask. So they're kind of hiding behind something. I've always said, like, I don't like going to places like Mardi Gras because I don't trust people in masks. Like, people do weird shit when they're masked up, they get away with things, okay? So now we have this whole generation of people, they don't know how to interact. And the people working there were rude. I'm trying to cut jokes with them a little bit and banter. Nope, they weren't having any of that. And I'm like, we have ruined a culture. We've ruined a generation. It's horrible.
It is insane. Like, to go through and actually try and have a conversation with somebody, just striking up a conversation now. It's like, oh, are you on your phone? Am I on my phone? Can we both not be on our phones at the same time to actually look at each other and go, oh, hey, how are you? Nice to see you here today.
Speaking of screen time, We followed each other on Instagram today. I thought
It's
I already
official.
was. Yeah. Jill at Jill Savage _
Right.
is
Because
your
there's
Instagram.
a Christian author. She stole all my good handles before I
Christians.
got there.
As soon as the Christians show up.
She got it
What
first.
are you on Twitter?
Jill _ Savage.
Okay.
Yeah.
Using the underscores.
Yeah. Well, I put the underscore at the end on Instagram because everybody types my name in as one, and then you could just see that it's me at
I'm
the
going
end.
to peruse you later. Before we go to a break, let me remind you, TacPac is the premier monthly subscription box for military tactical prepper and Second Amendment enthusiasts. We've got a lot of constant attacks that are going on with our Second Amendment rights. It's more important than ever to get equipped, and you can do that with TacPac. $49.95 a month. You're going to get at least $100 worth of gear from different companies like 511, Sons of Liberty, Gunworks, Mission First Tactical, Armaspec, and a whole lot more. They're going to send out AR-15 parts and accessories. We were talking yesterday about my security guy. He's building an AR-15, and he's using TacPac, and they're sending. Apparently, he said they're sending some really cool gun parts. But you get the everyday carry tools and knives and all the gear, all the good stuff. It's fun. And the holidays are right around the corner, so TacPac could make a perfect gift. November, loaded with machined AR parts, tools, whole lot more. It's a big value, $105 worth of stuff. And if you're really hardcore, sign up for TacPac Plus, which has a value of $245 for the November pack. Go to TacPac, TACPac.com. Use promo code CHAD, I spell it Chad, at checkout and receive a free extra bag of tactical goodies shipped out with your first pack. Flying off the shelf, they usually sell out, so go there now. TacPac.com, sign up, use promo code Chad. We'll be right back. Oh, Jill, the world we live in. The world we live in. And the thing I appreciate about you, among many things, is that you're pretty tough. You can take it. You got a great sense of humor. And you have to put up with guys all the time.
All the time,
being
yeah.
A sports reporter,
Getting in the
reporter.
sports world, yeah, it's all men all the time.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have it any other way, though.
Yeah.
It's fun.
So what do you think about this world, this cultural trend of trying to change men from, like, I was at the mall the other day, and I don't like going to the stores. At the same time I went to the Best Buy, I went across the street to the mall.
Big day for you.
It was like a random shock of culture for me. I've never seen so much beta in my life.
I use that word all the time now.
It's horrible.
The time. I went to the mall, probably the same day as you. And because I don't go that often either. And I was just shocked to be here in Dallas and see all the people that just decided that we were all going to mask up again because somebody said so on their TV. And it was that easy, right? Like we all went from masking to not masking. And then they're like, oh, but we're going to do that again. And we're not going to ask any questions. Yeah. And I was just walking through the mall going, they're just sheep. They're betas. They're sheep. Well, there's nobody that's like, hey, why are we doing this? Yeah,
and the weakness, like just some of the men the males, I'll say that, the males that are out there, they just exude weakness, right? They're just pansies. There's no masculinity about them at all.
This is why I have yet to get married.
Right?
This is it. This is it.
The viewers and listeners have heard my theory. My theory is that they wanted to weaken American men.
100%.
That way, it makes us easier to invade, and the Chinese will come here, climb our women, mate with them, and have a whole new horde of warriors with superior genetics. That's what's going to happen because we can't fight them off.
Well, I think China's going to take over at some point, but I don't know if it's going to be for those reasons or in that order. But I think that's the way that it will go.
I wouldn't want to be a woman. I wouldn't want because there's no men left to fight.
No,
it's bad. At least what I see at the mall. Anyway,
and that's average, right? Like mall people are average people, I think. So
I had a rare afternoon, or I wasn't doing anything. I had to kill time in another town, so that's.
But yeah, just to see all the men masked up again at the mall, I'm like, really?
Yeah.
Come on. And then there I am, just walking around. You can see my face, everybody.
And I just refuse.
No, I won't go in there.
I started to go into a store, and they had a security guy who was standing there with a box of masks. And I was like, really? And he goes, yeah. And I said, no. And he goes, well, now you know how I feel having to wear this all day. And I said, no, I don't know how you feel because I wouldn't do it.
No.
I mean, I get that some people, yeah, whatever. But anyway, you do you. And to that point, I remember growing up as a young boy, and you'd find your brother's Playboy stashed away, right? And you just felt like, wow, like you had discovered something so naughty, so evil, so I can't tell you the last time I even saw a Playboy on the shelf. They used to have them like at the airports or whatever in the Hudson bookstores or the newsstands.
And like the little folder covering it.
Yeah, right. They kind of covered it all up. And then I think Chris will probably know, but I think they went away from nudity for I don't know what they do. And it was more like
they did
kind of like Instagram models, really.
Yeah.
And it was more like a Maxim magazine. Yep. And that's when I just whatever, because I always just read Playboy for the pictures. But I don't know what they're doing now, but apparently they now have a guy on the cover that's coming out. Have you seen this?
I have not actually seen this, but I know what we're going to be talking about here, and I'm very. This is it.
It's a video cover. How do they do that?
I can't. That's a guy, huh?
I don't even understand how Playboy works anymore.
But my question
is moving.
Who is the target audience for this? Who is Playboy trying to sell this to?
Yeah,
right?
This
advertising, people actually consuming this product. What is the lure of this?
So this is, I'm looking at the monitor over here and watching this thing because this is the first time I've seen it. And this is one of those examples of you get woke, you go broke.
Yeah.
Because nobody gives a rat's ass about this prissy dude prancing around in a bunny suit. At least not Playboy's target demographic. You're right. So, if you've never read...
Straight men do not want to see that. No. That's who Playboy's demographic is.
Right. So, historically, Playboy had the articles. Great articles, right?
So they say.
So they say. The great articles. They would feature authors like Kurt Vonnegut. Like thinkers in their, And then they would have interviews in there, and then they would have jokes in there, and then they would have little things that, trivial kind of things, and cartoons that were crude. And there were women, and there was a centerfold, and strategically placed staples. And now there's this. What is this?
Your Halloween costume. That's what that's going to be.
I bet you that dude weighs like, what, $1.15? Like that. That's a diminutive man right there, prancing around. And I'm like, what is the point? Now, I know most people out there are going, what difference does it make us Playboy? Nobody cares. But yes, it does matter, because at the end of the day, this is where culture is, and everything runs downstream from culture. So your politics run downstream from culture. When you normalize this, when you take something that is mass consumed, like a historical thing like Playboy that's been around forever. When you take that and you launder it and you pander to the progressives in this regard, and you normalize that, it's bad. Look at Maryland. Look at Donnie T right there with his Playboy. I don't know if you've read it. It's fantastic, quite honestly. But you got Maryland, and just so much history there. And now you're just going to, hey, let's just put a little prissy dude on there.
It's an avalanche when you talk about the culture, right? Because at first we had like the Target transgender bathroom deal, and look at how far that thing ran, right? Like it was just one store that said we're going to allow basically men to go into women's bathrooms, and now the last Olympics we just had a man competing as a woman, and then the UK study came out, and they're like, actually, even lowering testosterone levels, this guy still had an advantage over the rest of the women. Wow.
Shocker.
Right? I think you eventually get there.
Yeah. Well, you do.
I hope so, at least. For this,
it's
over.
So this is why this kind of thing matters. Because when you do that, when you change culture to this degree, like you remember when AOC and her little crew came out with the Green New Deal. And we were like, okay, that's like something that a fifth grader wrote with a crayon. Like it made no sense. You're talking about farting cows and trains to Hawaii and getting rid of all combustion engines and a $90 trillion overhaul of retrofitting buildings. And now they're doing it. Like they've written an infrastructure bill. They want to spend, trillions of dollars to do this. So eventually you take the most asinine things culturally, and it now starts playing out in our day-to-day life, right? So if you normalize this, guess what? You start trying to normalize every area of how we think of sexuality, how we think of masculine roles. And I'm not saying you should get your definition of masculinity from Playboy. Do not misinterpret what I'm saying. But you start to negate those norms, and it becomes a problematic thing. And it already is a problematic thing.
It already is a problematic thing, and it's the weakening of the culture. Yeah. Honestly, there has to be some agenda behind it, and what else does it all lead to?
Yeah.
And it's the weakening and just showing the toxic masculinity, right? Why is that even a phrase? Toxic masculinity?
It's an oxymoron.
That doesn't even make any sense. Mm-hmm. Masculinity, they just wanted you to view it as bad, so they threw it out at so many different ways that they could to say this is bad, that's bad, that's bad. And this is where we get is with these Playboy covers now. I
just want men to be men. I want men to be men again. I want them to scratch their balls, whatever they have. Just stink a little, work hard, get your dirt under your fingernails. Just be a dude, right? And stop worrying about all this stuff. You can't flirt anymore. You can't
sexual
joke.
Harassment.
You can't do any of this stuff. And like, no, I don't think you should go out there and just start manhandling people. Don't take it to extremes, people. But what I am saying is that if we continue to poison the minds of our boys and teach them that masculinity and these kind of things are poisonous, this is a not good future. Go back and watch the movie 300. I was watching a clip of that the other day, where Leonidas is like, hey, I'm a king. I got, and she's like, no, you're a free man. All that stuff aside, you're a free man. And by God, do what you got to do as a free man.
Yeah, and Gladiator's my favorite movie.
Me too.
There's reasons for this that these are the movies that we all are drawn to.
Yeah.
We aren't drawn to that Playboy cover.
No.
Like that guy, if he has a movie out, we're not going to go see it.
Yeah.
This isn't going to be a cultural phenomenon that's out there.
When Russell Crowe takes that mask off and says, "My name is Maximus Decimus Meridius,
Commander of the Army of the North,
Armies of the North, General of Felix Legions."
Father to a murdered son, husband to a murdered wife, I shall have my vengeance in this life or the next.
Servant to the true Emperor Marcus Aurelius. Let me tell you, that's an identity statement.
Best thing that I've ever seen cinematically. Yeah. That's it.
Hands down. You and I got that going on. We got that in common.
That's right.
Yeah. I love it. But that's an identity statement, right? When are men? It just so it just fires. I didn't want to talk this much about Playboy, but it just fires me up.
But men should be men, and it should be okay to be manly. Mm-hmm. They've made it not okay. And the other thing that I was thinking when you were talking about this, the Army, I think it was the Army or the Air Force. I don't want to get it wrong. Air Force, and they were like, Billy has two moms. And then they went side by side with the Russian military and they were stone cold, ready to kill at any minute. And we're like, we're screwed. If this is what we're bringing kids up in, this is how they're teaching them.
Let me blow some minds here. I've got some friends who their bug out plan is to go to Russia. If the shit goes south, they're like, culturally, we'll go to Russia. Because they
vodka for days, we're good.
They haven't screwed up their. Now, granted, it ain't America.
No,
it ain't what you're used to. But it's they hadn't screwed up the cultural norms in that regard. I mean, their president, he does ride a bear shirtless, right? So anyway, oh my gosh, show that. I don't want to see it again. I don't want to see it again.
Nobody wants to see it again.
By the way, you mentioned Joe Biden eating ice cream. I'll remind everybody, and I'll tell you, I don't know if you've heard me say this or not, that's actually a treatment for Alzheimer's.
Dementia. Yeah.
Dementia, yeah.
Yeah. You can Google it, and it's a real thing.
It's a real thing.
And I thought, oh, man, if we didn't just stumble upon the greatest tell of all time.
Exactly. That, and he's always carrying those newspapers, because people with dementia don't shake their arms. They don't sway their arms when they walk. Anyway, that's that. You mentioned that yesterday, I think.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
Talking about ice cream. Oh, this is a crazy thing. I'm just really calling. I want men to be men. I really do. And here's the thing. This whole gender confusion thing. We live in a world. I said to a group the other night. I said we live in a world where most folks today, if I look at them and I say, okay, would you rather make sure that your feelings are protected in terms of what your gender is and how you're addressed, your pronouns and all of that? Or do you care more about the written word of, say, the Constitution? These days, most people care more about their feelings than they do what establishes their rights. This is the kind of thing. You turn some boys loose out in the woods, and guess what? They're going to break sticks and turn them into guns.
Nature is going to take over. Yeah. And the Constitution is definitely the side that I would be leaning on. That's why I'm here. Like, this is it. Like, when you talk about your feelings and you get into it and it's like, oh, my truth. No, there's just the truth. They've twisted everything.
Yeah. Beck was talking about that on his show Monday, talking about, you don't have my truth. That's your story. You can tell your story,
right?
But it's not your truth, right? It's not defined in that way. So,
well, they had to change the definition, which is what they do with everything now.
So,
you're not a woman. You're not a man. You're not anything. It's my truth. It's the truth.
And I've been saying it for 30 years. Language matters. You start changing words. You start changing pronouns. Articles. You start changing the definition of things. Again. I could go on and on about that, but you're going to ultimately get yourself into a house of cards that will fall in on itself. So anyway, lots more to get into on that. That's our soapbox. All right. Social Security Administration's computer services, their servers are 45 years old. Computer servers at Health and Human Services are 50. Maybe that's how cyber criminals hacked U.S. Census Bureau computers, where everything about you is stored. The threat of some cyber thief stealing your credit card isn't your biggest risk. Your massive risk is that he takes over ownership of your home. It's called home title theft, and the FBI calls it one of the fastest growing crimes in the world. Cyber criminals simply hack into vulnerable government, bank, or mortgage company servers where copies of your home's title are stored, forges your signature stating you sold your home to him, and then he borrows on your home and the equity and leaves you in debt. You won't know until the collection notices show up. You need to protect your most valuable asset right now. Go to HomeTitleLock.com, register your address to see if you're already a victim. Go to HomeTitleLock.com, register, see if you're already a victim. Hang tight, we'll be right back. Hey, side note that means absolutely nothing, but did you hear that the post office is about to get into banking?
Can't wait. The lines aren't long enough anyway. Let's just add more to their plate.
So with our stuff, we ship out a ton of merchandise in our apparel business, right? And people, if they pick USPS, it's always going to be a nightmare. They're about to have more delays. They're even telling us, it's about to get even longer.
Order your Christmas gifts now. They might make it on time.
Now. Anyway, that's a side note. It's the world's going to shit. This is what I called the controlled deconstruction of America, right? They're just not blowing it up. They're controlling the downward spiral. That's what's going on. It's incredible to watch. I sound like Glenn Beck.
I totally agree for what it's worth. It's weird. I always would say, and again, going back to Gladiator as my favorite movie, mm-hmm. I always wondered what it was like for the fall of the Roman Empire. And I'm like, oh, just take a look around, everybody.
Yeah.
There we go.
But we've got aqueducts.
We've got it here.
Yeah. And the thing, and so I made a post on social media the other day about Montesquieu, Baron de Montesquieu, which the founding fathers quoted Montesquieu like the Bible. I mean, to them, he was the authority of building a republic. And his argument was you can't have a large land mass and manage a republic. So Rome started out as a republic, but of course it ended as an empire because they owned the entire known world. They'd conquered it, and they just couldn't manage it as a republic, which is why they put states. It's because the federal government couldn't control a landmass as large or govern a landmass the size of the United States. And now the states have lost power, and we're seeing what's going on now.
Yeah, and they could foreshadow New York and California being crazy, and they're like, oh, these people in the middle of the country aren't going to want to deal with them.
That's exactly right. And that's where we're at. Anyway, Article 5 Convention of States. We'll talk about that on another episode. Jerry Seinfeld. We go from Montesquieu to Jerry. Jerry's a nut. Jerry. Like if you ever watch, like Jerry loves himself a lot, and appreciate his art, appreciate his voice, appreciate the comedy, appreciate his mind. Don't appreciate the apologies. Jerry came out a couple of years ago and said he would not perform on college campuses anymore because they can't take jokes anymore. Listen, if you're offended by Jerry Seinfeld's jokes, damn,
whoa,
that's some thin skin. But he came out. He's doing a little apology tour right now. He apologized for the bee movie because it was the definite sexual attraction between a bee and a woman. Which was anyway.
Which is obviously going to happen in real life.
Yeah.
All the time.
That's a weird fetish.
I run away from bees every time I see them. I don't know what you do,
that's
but that's what
fetish.
I do.
Like, sting me harder, daddy. This is interesting. He apologized basically for the show Seinfeld, which is arguably the greatest sitcom that's ever existed. Said what was it he said? He said he wouldn't make it, or he would make it differently.
Yeah, he will make it differently, especially for shows like The Bet, which is one of my favorite episodes.
Yeah.
When they talk about shrinkage, especially with George in the pool. And then the other one was where a lot of sexual content, but it was like we talked about, it was what's happening in the culture at that point.
So he would only change the most well-known and iconic shows of Seinfeld that everybody still talks about.
Right. Like
the rest of them that nobody talks about, sure.
Yeah,
keep
exactly. And this whole, like, he apologized for the B movie because he said it's not appropriate for children. And then the Seinfeld thing, I don't know. I want to go into my putty voice and kind of do
the Masters.
Oh my God. No, this stop. Okay, so this is the problem like I have with Canadians who come down here. They make $1 billion in Hollywood, guys like Jim Carrey, and then they want to bitch about America and turn us into a socialist country, right? And complain about America. Go back to Canada. If you hadn't come here, you would have never made it. Same with Jerry Seinfeld. If you hadn't made Seinfeld, guess what? You'd be a 2-bit comic working in New York somewhere, working a club. And now you're going to go out and apologize for this body of work that allows you to live on the Gold Coast of Long Island as a Jewish guy in the most WASP area of America. And that's, I mean, you're the elite of the elites.
You know who's not apologizing for Seinfeld is Larry David, the creator of Seinfeld, who keeps just doubling down on it,
right.
Who keeps making it on Curb Your Enthusiasm on HBO and keeps making great content.
Yeah. It's so dumb.
Everybody loves Larry David, and we all figured that out. Like, after watching Curb, we're like, oh, we loved Larry.
Exactly.
We didn't love Jerry.
You didn't love Jerry. I mean, it was a great ensemble of characters which you can quote over and over again, but it's the mind of Larry David.
Yeah.
It really is.
It was Larry David's life that we all loved.
If you watch comedians in cars getting coffee, it's boring, right? It's Jerry with his uppity ass self, and if you get somebody on there, like, go back and watch the episode with I had to quit watching it, but like there were certain episodes that he would do with again, what's the little black comedian?
Kevin Hart.
Like Kevin's being silly in the car, right? And Jerry's not having it. Just not doing any of that stuff. So it's comedians in cars not being funny. That is what the show's all about.
Getting coffee.
Because Jerry's
not funny.
Boring.
Yeah.
And do you think that he's just too cautious? Like, he knows that...
I mean, what are you going to do? You're going to cancel Jerry now? I mean, is he going to get canceled at this point in his life?
He's so rich and out of touch now, though. I think that's half of the problem is when Kevin Hart's getting in there and he's like, hey, let's have some fun here. And Jerry's like, oh, we don't do that anymore.
Exactly.
Like,
no.
So you're telling
I'm
me...
too rich to do all this stuff now.
Yeah, I've gotten above all of that.
Yeah.
Right? Look, and you want to apologize for what? Sexual innuendo in comedy? Sex is funny. If you don't think sex is funny, you've never had it. It's funny. There's things to make fun of in the whole process.
So, Chad, you tell me that a comedian that is worth $950 million...
Right, he's a billionaire.
Can't take a joke?
He's a billionaire.
He's a billionaire.
I mean, first of all, why are you even talking? Like, why are you in public? Why are you having anything to do with anything?
When you're a billionaire.
When you're a billionaire,
Go
you
away.
just check out, buy your island, and right off. We don't care. Like, we don't want to hear from you anymore. We hate you. We resent you. You were cool when you were broke like us. Like, I remember when I started out, I had $24 in my bank account. Now I've got $17 in my bank account. and like, I don't like you, Jerry. You can kiss my waspy ass. And I'm going to joke about sex. We're going to talk about penises, and we're going to talk about pubic hair and whatever. And we're going to talk about dad bods that aren't sexy, Chris. They aren't. The reason you women think they are is because it's your only option, because you've never laid there running your fingers through the hair on his back going, oh, yeah.
Ask Jill. She should know. Man bods. Dad bods. Yes or no?
No, she's still young. She's still young and pretty and attractive. She hasn't given up on life like most of us have.
There's still hope out there.
Yeah. She likes a dude that goes to the gym. You know why I don't go to the gym? Because, like if the gym was, like, right there where I live, I'd go to the gym and work out. I don't want to actually spend the energy of getting to the gym. Like, that's how lazy I've gotten. So, I know if I've got to drive to it, I don't want to do that. I don't want to go.
It's like the mall. You only go once a year.
So bad. And then I'm going to see some asshole in a mask working out, and I'm just going to piss me off. Just going to piss me off. This is my exercise routine right here. I don't know. Jill, you and I, we're still getting to know one another, but let me tell you, my sophisticated taste right here take me to Argentina, where these Malbecs are grown at the third highest vineyard in the world, somewhere around 9,000 feet in the sky. It's unheard of for winemaking, but it makes a very strong Malbec grape, and it gives you a 90-point wine. One of the only things you can get of this nature right here is through Cowboy Wines. Let me tell you, the folks down at Bonner, they grow this in the Andes Mountains, and they've been doing it with these same families for over 200 years, and it's incredible what this wine brings to your table. You need to get it. It will actually help you digest red meat better. So it's healthy to drink it. So I want you to go to cowboywines.com. Visit my friends over there with Bonner. They're going to give you a 50% off deal, and you're going to love this. Don't worry about the inflated prices from the store when you're looking for quality wine. 50% off today. No promo code necessary. Go to cowboywines.com, and we'll be right back. Speaking of Playboys, somebody got Jennifer Lawrence pregnant. Hey, some people have all the luck. Hey, talking about this Bonner private wine?
Yeah.
These Malbecs are so strong, they will get you set back. I highly recommend them. Trust me. You might wind up like Jennifer Lawrence. So she was what? She came out and she was talking about how she was still defending abortion and all that. I mean, she's very pregnant.
She's pregnant. And decided that she was going to speak out, and standing next to Amy Schumer, which is, Jennifer Lawrence has never looked any better than when she's standing next to Amy Schumer, first of all. I mean,
Amy Schumer,
sorry.
Let it go.
Not sorry.
You talk about a comedian that needs to apologize for like a whole body, a whole career.
She has a dad bod.
Including the hair. Yeah, she's advocating for the right to kill unborn children. That's fantastic. I didn't even know she was married, but he's a good-looking dude. I looked him up. Cook Maroney, right? That's a cool name. Yes. But so there you go. Everybody, it doesn't matter. You gotta make sure you gotta politicize everything, including your pregnancy, ladies. Don't forget, politicize your pregnancy. If you don't, you're not doing it right.
Well, and I mean, my body, my choice. It's never been a better phrase than right now in this day and time,
right?
Because it's only on certain topics.
Yeah, that's exactly right. So I did a thing. I did a post that kind of, I don't know, it was controversial the other day, which is nothing unusual, but I was talking about, I made the comment. I said, well, why don't we force everybody to use breathalyzers? Like, you can't drive without a breathalyzer in your car. You can't leave your home. You can't leave a bar. You can't leave a restaurant. You just have to breathalyze nonstop, right? You just have to constantly force people. And I was thinking about, like, the masks and the mandates and stuff like that. Let's just mandate. Lo and behold, after I made that post, people started telling me that that's actually in this infrastructure bill.
No way.
Yeah.
No way.
Like, that's one of the things they're wanting to pass, is put breathalyzers everywhere. So people are like, well, people shouldn't drink and drive. Yeah, but it's not illegal to drink and drive. It's illegal to have over the legal limit and drive. All right? That's why bars, actually, believe it or not, they have parking lots. Yes, they do. Restaurants with bars have parking lots. But this is another sign of government overreach, right? So
is this all part of like the Build Back Better Agenda 2030? Like, you're not going to own anything and you're going to be happy? Like, at some point, you're just not going to own a car because you're not going to go through all of the hassle to do the breathalyzer, and everybody's just going to be Ubering everywhere.
Well, Uber, and make sure you wear your mask, because they will reprimand you and they will send you an email saying that our driver reported you.
Not in the South yet. Not where I've been. Not where I've been
well,
traveling.
Let me tell you,
is my Uber score going down? Do I need to check?
It will. Our buddy, they've got a whole thing. The driver will report you. Our buddy, Texas legend Steve Helms.
Also, why don't they just not report you?
Well, you're right, because they're so woke. Again, when you this is the whole thing.
You have an option. This is my whole thing. There are options in life. Just don't do it.
But this whole some people like to be dominated, right? Like they like to be ruled.
They're sheep. They
betas. Like to have this, and they like those little nuggets of superiority and authority that they can rule over your life, right? So the Uber driver, they feel self-important and entitled by hitting a button that told on you, right? So that's what made the Holocaust happen, was neighbors reporting on each other and telling on each other. Bunch of damn tattletales out there.
Yeah, I started 2020 out in Auschwitz, so that was a strong way to start off 2020.
Strong reminder.
Yeah.
And yet here we are.
To look at it and see it for myself.
Yeah.
And then go down this path.
And we're watching this unfold.
And they're trying, right? It's pitting groups of people against one another, right? That's what evil does, is it tries to separate everybody, this group against that group. How small can we subdivide everything?
Yeah.
And then pit everybody against each other. That's all they're trying to do.
So you've got the Uber tattletales. You got that's happening. And again, we're talking about they want everything in this infrastructure bill to go to electric cars. There's only
do they know where the electricity comes from? It doesn't just come from your wall.
Right.
Right. That's what people think. They're like, oh, look, I don't use gas, I don't use diesel, whatever. I just plug it into the wall at night.
Yeah.
But where does that go?
There's a little squirrel on a wheel.
Don't tell me that you're a better person because you have an electric car, because it's still coming from the grid.
100% it is. And those little fans that we've got in West Texas all over the place that are out there, our green energy, they consume 35% of the energy they produce just to run. And they're also petroleum-based products. So it's amazing how that works. But, this Build Back Better plan, I just like saying that, is so stupid. But we're buying into all of this stuff. And so, yes, they have the breathalyzers. Yes, the Build Back Better plan has the Build Back Better breathalyzer. They've got all of this stuff.
Trademark.
It's everything.
$49.99. 5 easy payments.
This is the thing. This is where we're going. Is the government overreach? They're normalizing it. The CDC came out last week and said, hey, we're going to start exploring the health risks of guns in America. So now they'll just say that they can regulate your firearms based on its health risks. They're going to make it. They did it with the virus, right?
Shall not be infringed.
That's 100% my policy.
That's as easy and clear to read as anything that has ever been written.
That's exactly right.
And if it wasn't that bold and that strong, it would have been gone a long time ago.
Yeah. Oh, you gotta offend me, or you gotta make me feel guilty. I don't get offended.
I am so tired of catering to cis people's feelings.
I like her.
Because I do. I do it every time I go to a restaurant and the server says, hi, ladies, and I don't correct them. Every time I choose the women's washroom because people expect that of me and it makes them comfortable. Every time I go to the grocery store and ignore being called miss or ma'am. Every time a close friend misgenders me, and my immediate response is to say, no, it's okay as long as you're trying. It's not okay. And I'm not okay, because in order for any of you to even entertain the idea of respecting my existence, I have to water down all of my emotions lest I live up to the whiny crybabies trans stereotype that you all have in your heads. Because God forbid you take someone seriously when they are showing valid emotion.
So her problem, if I'm understanding right, was
whoa,
yeah.
Right off the bat.
Yeah, that's how I roll, pretty much. I just call it like I see it. Unless you have a wiener, you're a chick, okay? And then, or you're one of those 0.000 percentages that have some kind of medical thing that's gone on. You were born into some weirdness that just whatever. But this ain't it, right? This ain't it. So she identifies as a man. Am I understanding this? And she's consistently misgendered. She's a they. Okay. Again, my pronouns are the, she, it, and this is more of the shit right here that I am sick of tolerating and normalizing because again, when are the guys going to take to the streets? When are we going to have a foreskin rally? Like, when are we going to go out and celebrate what's been taken from us? We'll wear turtlenecks and shave our heads. When are we going to do this?
I always say there's nothing that a good old-fashioned depression can't fix. And, you know, Beck's been talking about it for a really long time. And, like, you don't talk about pronouns when you're trying to put food on the table.
No,
it's a little different there.
Like, okay, if you're a dude, here's the thing. If you're a dude, then go out, dig some ditches, lay some bricks. Let's see what you got. Let's roof some houses. Let's sling some nails out there. This stuff is and then going to come out there, and you're going to spend your time on TikTok. This is a spoiled, rotten culture right here. This
exactly.
You're going to take your phone, you're going to get on your TikTok, and you're going to do it for the views and the likes and the sympathy and the victimization of yourself because you have never had a real problem in your life. So you've got to manufacture some form of persecution and oppression. Just shut the fuck up. I like at some point in time, we just got to be like, just shut the fuck up.
We have too many hours in the day that we don't have to spend doing productive things. Right. This is proof of that.
And when I go to the bathroom during the break, I'm going to pee standing up. We'll be right back. All right, so what's that dude with Young Turks? Wager?
Wager.
If you know, you know. All right, so he challenged Joe Rogan. He said he would take Joe Rogan out in a fight, right?
Let's go.
So my buddy Matt Couch, DC Patriot, he put $1,500 up. I'm matching that $1,500. We'll donate it to the charity. If you'll say that to Joe Rogan's face, physically to his face, we will donate. He'll do it. That's $3,000 right there. I'll do $1,500. Matt will do $1,500. So we're going to put that out there. However you say that dude's name with Young Turks who said that, I want you to say it to Joe Rogan's face. Hey, iTuner9009 says, wonderful content. I have to agree. The Chad Prather Show is an excellent podcast that is both informative and entertaining, from the intro music to the sign-off and everything in between. This podcast delivers stellar content for every listener. Thank you for that. Please go leave a rating and review. 5 stars is all we will take. Follow Jill Savage _ on Instagram, and Jill _ Savage on Twitter.
You got it.
Yeah, I got you, girl. And you're going to be coming on here more.
I will be.
I want you around here. I like it.
Yeah.
You make me think, and I love it. And you're fun.
And we can quote Gladiator together on the show.
I bet we got so many things in common. Go to chadonblaze.com. Get your new FJB t-shirt. You know what it stands for. Let's go, Brandon. And watchchad.com has my schedule as well as the store. It's a lot of fun stuff. It's where all the fun stuff is. We love you. God bless you. Come back tomorrow night. Thursday night's going to be off the rails. A very special guest. You don't want to miss it. See you then.